Over the past month or so, I've spent over $1,000 on vintage toys, and I've picked up some really choice pieces. Everything that I've been acquiring has been mint and complete, from iconic toy lines such as Masters of the Universe, G.I. Joe, Kenner Superpowers, and even a couple of awesome 70s items from my favourite toy company of all time, the British toy company Palitoy. And I've acquired so many cool pieces, I thought it would make for a perfect kind of vintage toy haul roundup video. So let me show you what I've picked up in the last few weeks. Stay tuned.
Come with me, toy fans.
Hey toy fans, my name is Tony and welcome back to the Analog Toys YouTube channel. And let's kick things off with a couple of loose but complete Masters of the Universe figures. And the first one that I have here is Web Store. Now you might be thinking, Web Store, that's nothing particularly special or super rare, but do you know how hard it is to get a loose complete Web Store where the backpack feature still works? I've been on the hunt for one of these. This was a real favourite figure of mine in childhood, and I need it to complete my 1984 wave of Masters of the Universe. Hint, hint, there might be a video coming. I've wanted to reacquire this guy for a while, but you know, you always end up picking them up and the backpack function doesn't work. I was able to find one locally here in Western Australia at a great price, and I snapped it up because not only was it complete, the backpack function still works. So you can hook him around the door handle, pull the tab at the bottom, and he climbs the rope just like he did when we were in childhood. So the other awesome Masters of the Universe action figure that I've recently acquired is a mint and complete Orko. Now, I already had an Orko in my collection, but he was missing all of the accessories. Of course, Orko comes with a purple ripcord, so you can, pull it through his body and make him spin around on your table. But he also came with this nesting magic trick. And I've wanted to upgrade my loose Orko example to a complete one for some time. And when this one popped up on eBay and the seller had this amazing display stand included with the item, I couldn't say no. This wasn't a cheap purchase, but I know it is very, very hard to get Orko with all of these different pieces of the nesting magic trick intact. I'm very, very happy with this purchase. I'm very pleased to add this to my vintage Masters of the Universe display.
It's all my fault. Please don't tell Man-at-Arms.
Now the next item that I picked up is a boxed Kenner Superpowers Batmobile from 1985. I think this line first came out. I've been resisting collecting the Kenner Superpowers line for quite some time now. But earlier on this year, I think it was, I did pick up a Kenner Superpowers Superman from Reclaimers Vintage Toys, and when it was delivered to me, it came packed in with a Batman action figure that was a gift from Scuba Pete. And for a while, these two Kenner Superpower action figures were the only two that I had in my collection. Until I stumbled across this bad boy. Now, the box is far from perfect, it's quite beat up. The artwork on the front does look pretty nice, but I'm not an in-box collector, and I think having this box up the top on a shelf, it doesn't really matter that it's a little bit beat up because the artwork on the front looks so cool. But again, this was at a price I couldn't refuse because although the box is beat up, the toy inside is still situated in the inserts and it has never been played with. This thing is immaculate. There is something really special about pulling out a mint unused toy, that still has the cardboard inserts inside it. This is a fantastic toy. I love this particular design of the Batmobile, and it comes with a few really cool functions like a push button that activates a capture claw at the back. There's another push button that activates the battering ram at the front, and then of course we've got the pop-up headlights, which they're a little bit lame. And again, this toy is in absolutely gorgeous condition. Since acquiring this, and I purchased this from the States, so it took a while to get here to Australia. While I was waiting for it to arrive, once I kind of made that purchase, I guess I'm collecting superpowers now. So I've since gone out and added a few more figures to my collection. I've upgraded my Superman. I've also added a really beautiful example of Green Arrow, a really nice example of Green Lantern, The Batman figure that came from Scuba Pete is now driving the new Batmobile. And my most recent acquisition that arrived just the other day, I now have Darkseid.
Holy life and death, Batman! It's a priority 1 emergency!
See, I told myself for a long time I wouldn't collect this line, but guess when it comes to cool vintage toys, I've got the breaking strain of a Kit Kat.
Do or do not. There is no try.
I've got a few more items to show you, and make sure you stay tuned to the end of the video because I'm going to save what I think is best for last. But now moving on to some vintage 80s G.I. Joe. I've got a toy here that I never thought I would ever add to my collection, but I need it for an upcoming video. So here we have a complete Cobra Bug. This toy is just bonkers, man. And it's kind of beyond the era of G.I. Joe that I collect. You know, when I collect G.I. Joe, I really stick to kind of 82 to 88 when we're talking a real American hero. I don't normally go kind of past that point. But I really enjoyed my experience opening this toy and getting to have a bit of a play with it for the first time. There are so many opening hatches, different cockpits in which you can display the figures. I like the fact that there's a couple of extra removable vehicles in the form of some like little sea sled type things. Again, I acquired a complete example, so of course I've got the driver. I did have to replace the O-ring, but that's kind of stock standard for vintage G.I. Joes these days. And I did a little bit of research before I acquired this toy, and I was aware that the catch that holds the removable front shuttle in place often breaks. So I made certain to acquire an example that had that catch intact. And the first time that I tried to remove this front pod here, the catch broke off. Of course it bloody did. There are a lot of Cobra Bugs on the market that have this broken catch, and I was willing to pay a little bit more for a minty complete example that was unbroken, and then the catch broke off within 20 minutes of me taking it out of the shipping box. I guess that's just part of the trials and tribulations of being a vintage toy collector. This shit happens sometimes. I'm not gonna moan about it. I'm still happy with the toy. It's pretty cool, and I can't wait to explore it a bit more in an upcoming video that I'm teasing and not telling you exactly what it's about, but it's coming soon.
Nobody beats G.I. Joe, G.I. Joe Phantom X-19.
But Cobra rules the beaches with the Cobra Bug.
Over the land and deep down below, the Cobra Bug's got an eye out for Joe.
Cobra! Yo, Joe!
Nobody beats G.I. Joe, G.I. Joe Phantom X-19. Sleek and mean and flying so fast it can't be seen. Nobody beats G.I. Joe, a real American hero.
Cobra Bug comes with driver, Phantom X-19 with pilot.
Right, these last two items are both from the 1970s and both from Palitoy, the British toy company that I consider to be the best toy company in the world, sadly now defunct. But the item that I picked up is a nice late 1970s Action Man German paratrooper. And I already have one of these in my collection, but the reason that I picked up this item is that all the person was selling on eBay was the tunic and the trousers. And I knew that I had a spare helmet, some spare accessories, and I've got some loose Action Men in my parts bin. And I'm like, the helmet's normally the hardest part of this outfit to get. And the guy the tunic and trousers were in really good condition, and the seller was not asking a lot for them. So I thought, I'll snap them up and I'll piece together an outfit. Now this figure is part of the Action Man Internationals range, a series of Action Man outfits that just included the clothing and the helmets. They didn't come with any equipment like belts and grenades and backpacks, and they didn't come with any weaponry. And I actually did a whole video about Action Man Internationals a year or so ago. So check that out if you want to see how I customized all of the other range of outfits. But I talked in that video about how I customized my German paratrooper so that he had a parachute pack and harness and all that kind of thing. And I thought it would be cool to have another German paratrooper that's just equipped with the field gear. So the belt with the ammo cartridges, the stick grenades, and the Mauser rifle. And I think the two of them look great on display together. And I'm really happy to add another classic 1970s Action Man item to my collection. I've got a very vast collection of Action Man, and so much so that I don't pick up a lot of it these days, even though it's my favorite toy line. I'm too busy acquiring items for other toy lines that I'm trying to complete, or more often than not, picking up toys that I need for future video productions. But I do love it when I can still add a really nice condition Action Man to my collection. It's always a good day when a new Action Man joins the ranks.
Action Man!
And his transport command. Tough, realistic models specially designed for Action Man. They're all action. Just look for the Action Man Transport Command badge. It tells you they're the real thing. You can send off for a free workshop accessories kit by collecting the stars with every pack.
Action Man!
Transport Command. Only from Palitoy.
Now this last item that I have to show you, I could not believe it when, first of all, when it turned up on eBay Australia. Most of these items turn up in the UK. But also, the seller was asking a very reasonable price. Now, it wasn't cheap, but I thought, you know, that's a good price for what that is. It's an iconic item from an iconic franchise, from an iconic toy line. It is the talking Dalek from Doctor Who by the Palitoy Toy Company. Now, this box says 1975 on the side, but that's just a copyright date. This toy first came out in 1977 in the UK. At that time, Tom Baker, you know, who I think is the best Doctor Who around, there was a series of Tom Baker toys, action figures and the TARDIS and stuff like that, being produced by Dennis Fisher, and they even did their own version of the Dalek. So you might wonder, well, why did Palitoy have a version of Dalek, especially when Dennis Fisher and Palitoy had a business connection of some kind? Well, it's because the Dennis Fisher version was just an action figure. This was sold as a talking toy as part of Palitoy's range of talking toys. And there's a fantastic advert that features this particular item.
Here come the talking cars. There's Z Victor 4, the talking police car with exciting police calls.
BD to Z Victor 4.
And the fabulous talking Batmobile with the dynamic bat messages.
Step on it, Batman!
Watch out! There's even a talking Dalek.
Exterminate! Exterminate!
Talking cars and talking Dalek from Palitoy.
You will obey!
The Palitoy Talking Dalek has some absolutely gorgeous classic style box art with the BBC logo in the top corner. It actually doesn't say Doctor Who on it anywhere, but we all know it's Doctor Who. It's the Dalek.
Dalek. Very primitive, but undeniably a Dalek.
And this is a talking toy. And when the seller advertised this, they said that it used to work, but it stopped working after so many years in a display cabinet. So I read that description and I thought, it doesn't sound like anything's broken or damaged. It just sounds like most vintage toys that have the, you know, the old motor that runs the voice box. The motor's probably seized and needs a little bit to get going. So this literally arrived a couple of hours ago and it took me 30 minutes to strip this voice box apart and get it going again. It runs off 2 AA batteries. And now this thing says 4 different commands. This item is very, very difficult to acquire with all of the weapon attachments which come off of the actual Dalek, and that separate eyepiece also that swivels up and down and comes out of the top of the dome there. And it's obvious to me that the person who owned this prior to me was a collector who literally took this out of the box, displayed it in a cabinet and never touched it because it's immaculate. It's also got some really interesting history behind it. Palitoy's Talking Dalek was first released in 1977 through their wholesale company, which was called Bradgate. And it continued to be sold through their catalogues over the next couple of years before being joined by a talking canine toy in 1979. And those are much, much harder to acquire than the Daleks because they weren't sold for such an extended period of time. You know, the Dalek was sold over several years. I think Canine only came out for 1 or 2 years. And they're also very difficult to get because, you know, the tails and the earpieces used to break off the toys. But I just so happen to have in my kind of archive that I collected together when I was making my Story of Action Man documentary all those years ago, I found an archival image of these toys on display at Toy Fair 1979. And you can see there one of the Palitoy sales reps with a life-size version of K9 at his feet. Now, I acquired this image like 13, 14 years ago from a Palitoy designer. I don't think it's ever been shown publicly, so not only am I getting to show you this amazing vintage toy in this collection, I'm also getting the opportunity to show you this incredible Palitoy Toy Fair image from the late 70s that I don't think has ever been shown publicly before. Now, if you have one of these talking Daleks in your collection and you're looking to get the voice box restored, I didn't worry about filming my process of opening this up because I learned how to do it by watching a video on YouTube. So I'm just going to post the link to that video in the description below, because if you have one of these and you want to get it restored, there's no point in me covering the work of another channel that's already done it expertly before. So I figured out how to do it very, very quickly and easily by watching that video. So if you want to do the same thing, check out the link in the description below.
No!
Right, that wraps things up for this vintage toy haul video. I'm pretty happy with the awesome items that I've collected recently. Let me know in the comments below what you think of my pickups and if you've picked up anything cool lately, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.